Pretty much everyone has a tape measure, but few can seem to use it right. A very common mistake is bending the tape when measuring in a corner. The risk of an inaccurate measurement is very high because the tape, being made of metal, bends in a forced way, not at 90 degrees. Do this instead. Turn your tape measure and you will be able to read how long your tape measure is. In my case, 3 inches. Put the tape measure in the corner and you can easily and accurately measure by adding 3 inches to the number shown. Alternatively, to measure in the corners, you can use a square or other straight edge, which will be more precise than the tape measure. Many people do not know why the tab to hook the tape moves back and forth. This is to ensure accurate measurements. When the tab is not under tension while measuring, it moves inward to ensure that the thickness of the tab is counted in the measurement. But when it is under tension and the tab sits outside the space being measured, the tape moves about 1/32 because otherwise the measurement would be incorrect. And before continuing, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe. I really appreciate it and it will help me bring you more and more videos. Thank you. And going back to the video, another very common mistake is in fact using the tape measure when you can use straight edges and squares. The tape measure is excellent for measuring very long boards or walls, but for flat or smaller wooden surfaces, the tape measure is not very precise for measuring, and opening and closing it continuously slows down the work. Instead, using squares or a ruler, you can do it faster and also measure more precisely. Using 2 different tape measures for the same project is another common mistake. This is because, as I show you here, it's not uncommon for there to be small but important differences between one tape measure and another. Another big mistake is using an old tape measure. This is because as tape ages, it tends to warp, making measurements difficult and inaccurate. Much better instead to use undamaged tape measures which have a straight tape and therefore more precise. New tape measures, like this one from FastCap, also come with a very convenient built-in pencil sharpener and also have a space to write down measurements for cuts, which is also very convenient. A very common mistake is to use the tab of the tape to measure inside pieces. This is a very inaccurate method. Instead, it is better to open the tape and place it on the starting point while stretched, then align it to a point that is easy to subtract and then measure from there. Finally, another mistake is not rotating the tape measure when taking measurements. This is because the tape measure is concave in shape and therefore if you do not rotate it and do not place it in contact with the piece, it can be difficult to read and take perfect measurements. But if you rotate it, it will touch the piece and make the reading much more precise. Thank you very much for following my channel. There have been many of you in the last few months who have subscribed and followed me and I appreciate it very much. I think you will find my video linked above on the use of a circular saw interesting, and if you have not yet done so, please subscribe.